Hello Capricorn friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Capricorn October 2021 Astrology Must Knows. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. That is the interface for all of the free goodies I make for you each month and all of my other offerings. If you forget that site by the time you're done with the video, you can click on the More button underneath or in the notes of the podcast if you're listening that way to see that link and many others that have all kinds of things that I've made for you. So this is for you if Capricorn is your sun, is your moon, is your rising, any other placement you have in Cap. This information in this report is going to be part of your astrological truth for this time and beyond. And if you're a late degree Capricorn, so basically around January 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees, if you're watching for another placement and you know the degrees, then I also suggest you watch my Aquarius report because you late degree cuspy people have a harder read. I have a late degree in my moon and my sun, which is how I knew this. I figured this out over time where I'm like, hey, wait a minute. It's more complicated when you have a late degree placement. So I suggest that you late friends also listen to my Aquarius reports. Okay, so what do we have going on this month? I'm calling the theme of this month the Big Wake Up because we have Pluto waking up in your sign. We've got, when I say waking up, I mean moving from the retrograde motion to direct. We have Saturn, your ruler, waking up. We've got Jupiter waking up. And we also have Mercury, which has been retrograde since September, waking up. So this is a time when many things that have gone dormant, things that fell into the backdrop and you're like, what the heck happened there? Where, things were moving along and then all of a sudden it just stopped or went away or disappeared, or you lost fuel or you lost motivation. You lost, seems like, support, and in some cases even like the protection of Jupiter and the optimism of Jupiter being forward. All of that hopefully will start to come back, and I think many people are going to see major gains in a very big way with fast moving return to things that had been in flow earlier in the year. And this is especially true for Capricorn because when your ruler is going direct, you really feel that, you feel just the energies, your ambitions, your oomph, your drive, your motivation, and in some level, sometimes this could be like even you're physically tired. It's just things get a little bit just less raring to go. And so this month, all of that stuff is waking up. Plus we have eclipse rumblings. The first eclipse is in the middle of November. We're tying up the Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle that started in the dreaded March 2020 when the world shut down. That's when it started to influence that May 2020 eclipse. Really started showing up at that time, and we've been working with this Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle for this whole time, so there's a wrap up there. We've got new energy coming in through the Taurus and Scorpio eclipse cycle that's beginning. So this is a really, really major month because even though the eclipses start in November, the eclipse season starts 4 to 6 weeks before they actually start. So that those, pieces of mega news, major trajectory changes, that sizzling in the air that feels like change is coming and it's either for you or you see other people going through it or both. All right, so that's what October is about. We also have a very stark difference between the first part of the month through around October 18th and then the rest of the month, because by October 18th, all the planets are direct. So we've got retrograde rules and retrograde occurrences for the first part, and those start lingering away or dissolving away with the direct energies coming in. And I have a beautiful visual including an overview of October, November, December as it relates to all of these complex parts that we have moving, including this golden period we're going to have for launches and important things and moves and everything big in November. So we'll get to that after we talk about some things specific for Capricorn. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that the 9th house for Capricorn is still enhanced by the movements of the planets. And this is going to be bringing Sagittarian stories, which we'll talk about what that is. And then Venus is going to get in to Sagittarius this month, which is going to further support. Plus, we have the activation of the eclipse cycle, which has the ending of the Sagittarius Gemini eclipses. So that's a third way that Sagittarian energies are coming through at that time. Okay, so travel, the topic of travel, visas, immigration, studying abroad, learning languages, anything like that, anything having to do with your education or your kids' education or anyone else who you help take care of, you being a teacher, you doing teaching either as your profession or you're trying to get into it or you're leaving it or you're asking questions. those types of Sagittarian things are all being brought into focus. Very big must know for this month is that lots of questions are going to be asked of you. You are asking these questions to yourself, of other people. You might not have the answers just yet, but the chance for the answers to come in are increased tremendously after around October 18th, and those planets are all going direct. The clarity, the direction, the ability to plan a few feet and more, or more than a few feet ahead of you start to come in, because those retrograde energies bring confusion. So as the month goes on, you'll start to have more clarity. So if you keep having more questions and the questions are happening and now more questions are happening, if you're not solid on the answer, don't feel inclined to make a decision, because you might have more information come and you'll have more oomph and zest for your decision making as you get towards the end of October into November. All right, your work is continued to be highlighted in a big way. This was something that was going on in September. This is continuing now. Work-related things, business, employment, things involving your father. If you're trying to find a job, very strong chance for opportunities, especially things coming from the past in the first half of the month. More new opportunities might start getting stronger towards the end of the month. But if you have to get employment or do something with work, you might find that past contacts have a lot of help for you, because anything from the past is ruled by these retrograde energies. You might go back to working someplace you worked before or into something else. Or you might just be questioning your work and your career, and that's part of where these questions are coming in. So again, if you have to make a decision, you'll have more clarity as the month moves on. If you are out of the job market entirely and you're wondering how the 10th house applies to you, it can relate to healing father issues or something with your dad, you helping him or him helping you, or just things having to do with your work out in the world. If you're a person who's independently financially sound and you don't need income, this can just be, how are you going to help the world? How are you going to give service? How are you going to show your offerings or participate in, out there, basically? What is your highest expression? What is your dharma? What are you supposed to be focusing on as far as your direction? Those types of questions can be coming up for everybody, but they can become especially noteworthy when you don't have any of the other business or, work things that are part of your storyline. Okay, so we have the Libra planets have been making an awkward angle for Capricorn, and you've been feeling that in September. You're still feeling that in October, where some of the opportunities that are coming for any of the things we've just discussed, any of the 9th house Sagittarius or work or any of these things, there could have been awkwardness or challenges or pressure in those experiences because of the angle that the Libra planets are making for you. But as the planets move into Scorpio, this is a much better angle for you. And this is really where your power to create, your power to manifest is going to be very much aided by your personal relationships with people and getting assistance with money. Okay, so you're entering a time when any support that you need can start coming from other places. Your spouse's family, your family, inheritances, lotto, investing, buying or selling anything that could give, plans for future security. And speaking of which, this financial sector has really been front and center for Caps because Jupiter has been working in your second house. And this is true for all early, middle, and late degree placements, because Jupiter at this point is in the latter part of its cycle of Aquarius. So by now it is affecting for all of you, the second house. So what does it mean to have Jupiter in the second house? And what does it mean to have Jupiter waking up in the second house as it is this month? Okay, so I put together some rules or guidelines having to do with how to manage Jupiter. Okay, so first, let's understand the second house. The second house is your individual finances. It's your income. It can be, your material things that you have or that you want to have, your budgeting, your savings, how you are with money. It can also have to do with sustainability projects, which are becoming front and center again because Aquarius is prominent in the stars, and we're entering this, you could call an age of Aquarius, where this is kind of a kickoff party here, where we're having to work in connection with others in greater ways on the smaller community level and on the global community level because of the issues going on with climate. And I'm not going to speak to, the many things that people fight about in those arenas, but I'm going to just speak to the fact that the more we commune with other people and work in networks, the more we can collectively create change. And this is on the small level, like let's say it's just you and your friends are working on something because you personally have this issue or problem, or maybe your town has an issue, or up to the world level. No matter what level you work on, the energies of working with others are coming into the forefront. And this energy of Aquarius also is having a lot to do with this, networking for global change, having to do with the environment. And you might find your lean towards sustainability is also coming up. So any sustainability projects, Jupiter is really supporting them. If they've kind of gone into the backdrop, let's say you're trying to get off grid or do something like that, October might be the time when those projects start to come alive again. All right, so what are our little guidelines here for Jupiter? One is to go big. Now, like I said, you might not be able to go super big just yet because you're not sure of all of the things that you need to do, but towards the end of the month and into November, you'll have your time to go big with something involving your finances, making your big purchases, moving forward with asking for your raise. A lot of people have an increase to their income when Jupiter is in their second house. And if you've been not feeling that lately, especially since June, if you're like, what happened to my money since June? If that's the question that you're asking as a Cap, which you might be, major must know is that when Jupiter wakes up, your money might also wake up, okay? And your income might also wake up and be restored. So if you've been kind of getting slim, this could be the time that gets resolved. So I say go big. So if you've got something you've been working on, you're about to step into a November launch range for that, okay? So now in October, you're kind of putting the pieces together for whatever you're going to go big with. Something else that's important about Jupiter moving through the second house is that you want to plant as many seeds as possible. You might be seeing your rewards coming soon in your financial sector. If you don't be worried, especially those of you later in the sign. You have a longer time with Jupiter in your second house. So the more you are like January 11th through the rest of the sign, 20 to 29 degrees, you're going to keep having a Jupiter storyline longer than the earlier placements are. So if you're not seeing everything going on, you still have longer. And for those of you who are this is like your last time with Jupiter in your second house here in these upcoming months, even if you're not seeing the results yet, keep planting seeds, because any seeds you plant for your financial security have a chance to grow over the next 12-year Jupiter cycle, especially when you plant them now, okay? Also understand the energy of expansion and freedom as they relate to Jupiter, all right? So some people might have been spending a lot of money, especially in the last 4 months, in having to do with, your finances. Either you bought things you wanted, you did things you wanted, you spent the money, or it's been slim for your income. You might be learning about budgeting or having to rein it in a little bit. And freedom is a relative thing. Some people think true freedom is just spending on whatever you want. Some people think true freedom is being able to get what you want within reason and then have the certainty behind you. So freedom is a relative term, and freedom with money is a topic that's coming up now. All right, Jupiter can also show weak links. So if you have any weak links in your finances, Jupiter will have showed them, especially over the last 4 months. And now you have a chance to start rectifying whatever those problems are and get your plan together. Let's see. Yeah, so basically also try to maintain balance, because Jupiter can bring in a lot of income, but can also make you spend a lot. So just kind of evaluate this story. Now we also can talk about Saturn, okay? So Saturn has been moving through Aquarius as well, but Saturn is at an earlier degree, which means that many Caps have not really started feeling the true strong influence of Saturn in the second house, because as soon as it got there, it retrograded out for many of you. All right? But Saturn is going to start influencing over time. More and more of you are going to be seeing what's the storyline of Saturn in the second house. It's very different from the energy of Jupiter, right? So you might have spent too much money and now Saturn is saying, oh, now you have to be disciplined and mop it up. Or Jupiter might have revealed weak links in your finances. Now Saturn is saying you have to have, perseverance and a budget and consistency to mop it up. But this focus on your finances is not going to go away, even though Jupiter is going to be leaving soonish, because Saturn's going to come back behind. For some of you, that's going to mean that Saturn's going to bring the tangible, material fulfillment in your finances that you've been working on. Some of you, it means that your security and your finances are going to have a long period of time where they're tested, reevaluated, and redone. But the long and short of it is that there's going to be a long time continued with you working with this sector, and there's going to be a lot of push and pull and freedom versus restriction and these storylines at play in this area of your life. And this also has to do with the environmental focus, because some people who are trying to become more environmentally sustainable might experience, having to be disciplined, get new habits, remember to bring your, bags into the grocery store and things like that. Okay. So let's see. We have more salty aspects compared to sweet ones again this month. This has been an annoying trend that has been going on since June. We do get a reprieve from it in November, but here in October, we are still in it. So the best way I can describe that is there's bumps in the road. When you're driving on a street that has road bumps, you get jostled every time you go over the bump. And the faster you're trying to go over the bump, the more you get jostled when you hit the bump. So if you just know throughout this month, you're going to have those aspects that are annoying and bump, 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 bump. But they're usually fast passing things. And do know that we have a reprieve from that trend in November, but you have a little bit more to deal with in October. Some of the annoying aspects that we have this month are also inconjunct aspects, which bring a lot of awkwardness. And a lot of these are with Uranus, okay? So jolts, surprises are coming, but hopefully you'll pass through them quickly. But I just want to let you know that they're there. All right, so now I want to talk in great detail about October, November, December overview, all of the moving parts that are happening, what the energies of retrograde are good for and how to align your efforts there and the timing for that, what the energies of direct focus are good for and how to align your energies there, including the most amazing open window for big decisions and launches for the rest of the year that's in November. So let's go into those details now. Okay, so to understand the theme, the big wake up for October 2021, it's easier, I think, to see it in a visual context and also to understand October compared to November and December, and what we've got going on in this cluster of time will help you to better understand the energy of this month. All right, so the first thing of note that we've got going on is that these outer planets are waking up. So Pluto on October 6th, Saturn on the 11th, Jupiter on the 18th, and then we've got Mercury also waking up. This is an inner planet, but we've still been in this Mercury retrograde period, since September. So the energy for the first half or so of the month is very much retrograde, okay? And then every day, the 19th, 20th, 21st, every day we march into October, later in the month, these energies that just woke up start to get stronger. All right, so by the time we're at November 3rd, Mercury retrograde is clear and we enter this golden period of the 3rd through the 17th before the Venus shadow period starts. Venus shadow starts November 18th, gets stronger as the month of November goes on. Venus goes retrograde on December 19th. Okay, so you can see this time between November 3rd and the 17th is this golden opening where these planets have gained a lot of momentum. Mercury is completely strong. Venus has not yet started to slip. So now that we understand this, we'll get back to some of these other pieces here. Let's talk about the retro energies and direct energies and how you use them differently. So basically, the first half of October, we'll say through, of course, the 18th, because that's when everything goes direct. It's very strong in this. And this lingers throughout October, but it starts to get lighter and lighter as the month goes on. And as the month goes on, it gets more into these energies. And then the 3rd through the 17th of November is really, really strong with this energy, okay? So in retrograde time, we want to deal with what comes up more rather than trying to do future planning or, think too much ahead. We want to clear out clutter in any area of our lives, our health, our relationships, our houses, our desk. We want to leave things unscheduled because last minute magic can show up, and the more space you have to receive it, the better. This is a fantastic time for research, not as much the big launches and decisions and agreements and all of this stuff, unless it's unavoidable, but researching these things and making, your pros and cons list, getting information so that you can strike when the iron's hot. The retro time, so, it's basically all of October, but especially through around the 18th, we want to wrap up loose ends and finish old projects. Also, retrogrades are known for confusion, where you can't see that far ahead. You're not sure about what you want to do with any of these kind of things, and if you know that that's happening, then it's okay because you know that it's likely going to clear. It's a time to be in the moment, and it's a time to honor the flow and not force anything. Now, as we get later in October, you'll start to feel the clarity coming back, especially once we get into November, the zest and ideas for new projects, things like big launches, like getting your book out, your creative babies of any sort, your big decisions, your agreements, your paperwork, your investing, your moves, anything like that, future planning, and that back to push and initiate mode away from the don't force mode is another important change that starts to evolve as October goes on. And the more you can do these things in this November 3rd through 17th, you'll have all of the oomph of the direct motion. And I always liken this time to when the tide is going out. Retrograde is like when the tide is going in. If you try to push a message in a bottle out on the shore, to go out to the sea, it's probably going to come bobbing right back to you. That's why these things are better indicated in the retrograde time. But as we move into the direct time, it's time to put your boat afloat, to have the action of the tides going out, to put your bottle out to sea, to put all of your energy out there because you have oomph. Now, as we get into the 18th, the tides from the Venus perspective start slowly rolling in, okay? But there is quite a bit of what I call usable energy for the rest of November. And I'm just giving you this little sneak peek to understand this, even though we're talking about October, because October is more in this retrograde mode. And then November is more in this direct mode, you see? So this will help you to better guide your actions in October to understand the energies of November more. But you will have some usable energy for the rest of November. You just have to use it with caution. And if you want to get a sneak peek about this, we'll talk about this more in the November report. But look for Annie Botticelli Venus Retrograde. I have a whole Venus and retrograde blog series. I've got a really great detailed video. And also my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe, has a very big section on these Venus retrograde energies. Okay, so now back to this energy in October. We also have at the beginning of the month, eclipse season is beginning, okay? Because the first eclipse is November 19th, but eclipse season starts around 4 to 6 weeks before the actual eclipse. So that places us right back here at the beginning of October. Okay, so besides this big wake up for these outer planets and Mercury, we've got eclipse season beginning. So, those life-changing pieces of information, those life-changing experiences, those very big goodbyes, those very big hellos. And this is a very big wrap up because this season holds the last eclipse in the Sagittarius Gemini cycle. So what we're wrapping up here, and this energy is starting to make itself manifest in October, which is why we're talking about it now. The Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle has been in effect since around March 2020. And everybody remembers that month will go down in infamy when the world shut down. So things wrapping up at this time. Also, if you want to have some context, you can think back. So basically it was, the eclipse cycle was from May 2020, but again, the 4 to 6 week period started us in March, through around January of 2022. Okay, so we're here in October, we're starting to get the pieces falling together of closing out this cycle. If you want to have context as to when the last time that cycle happened, the Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle, it was around 2010 to 2012. So you might see some similar storylines that came up at that time. Now, what we're starting in this new cycle is the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse cycle. And of course, we'll go into way more details about this in the November and December reports when the actual eclipses occur, but it's important for you to know these things now because the eclipse season starts in early October. So think back to the end of 2002 and to like through 2003, and then the second half of 2012 to early 2014. Then we've got now August 2021 through the end of 2023. And the reason why we have August here is because we do start to see a few months even before the eclipse cycle begins that sometimes little hints will come in. So that's very, very sensitive, might be harder to see that energy. So we'll just put it back to October 2021 through the end of 2023 is the Taurus-Scorpio cycle. So the things that are coming in now are going to really be big players through the end of 2023. And we'll go into details about exactly where that hits in your chart in the November and December reports. For our purposes for October, just know that it's a big wrap up of the old eclipse cycle and the big beginning of the new eclipse cycle as this eclipse season starts this month. Okay, so I've given you lots of information to help you make the most of October 2021 and beyond. If you would like even more information, definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. That is the interface for all of the things that I do for you each month, the connection to my podcasts and my Pinterest and my school and my blogs and all of that you can find there. If you would like to be an astrologer as your profession or just to do it to help your friends and family and yourself, you will love my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. If you think I put a lot of details into these monthly reports, month after month, year after year, you should see what goes on, the comprehensive nature of that course, which you can see at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye!